Welcome to Fantasy Hockey TimBits, where I comb through all 32 NHL teams in order to find you a gem off the waiver wire to add to your club so you can win the week. Now, yesterday I did a video strictly on forwards. Today it'll be about defensemen and goaltenders. I know it's a little late in the week. My apologies. Work gets in the way. Life moves on. Now, let's begin right away with defensemen, starting with the Arizona Coyotes and Shane Gostisbehere. That's right, he's under 34% owned. He's on the second pairing, first power play, has 10 points in his last 11 games, and puts up almost 3 shots a night. Next, we've got Bowen Byram, who has been concussed and was injured, but he should be back on Friday. Now, he's under 23% owned. He has 8 points in his last 11 games. He is a bit up and down, streaky. Again, he should be playing this Friday. See if he's available. His teammate, Eric Johnson. Now, he's on the third pairing, no special teams, but when it comes to peripherals especially, he's one of the most consistent players, especially in the last 9 games. He shoots, he hits, he blocks shots, and he's under 5% owned right now, so scoop him up. Then we have Florida Panthers' Radko Gudas. Now, he's on the second pairing, second penalty kill unit, 5 points in his last 17 games. But he puts up a ton of hits. He's usually in the top 3 in the league. He also shoots and blocks shots very consistently, not to mention adds penalty minutes here and there. He's always a good add. Then we have, from the Montreal Canadiens, Chris Weidman. Who? Yeah, well, he's on the third pairing right now. On the first power play unit, believe it or not, they've bumped Petrie off of there because they're just throwing the kitchen sink at everything, right? He's under 1% owned, and he's got 6 points in his last 6 games. I don't know how long he's going to last on the power play, but you want to ride him as long as he's hot. Next, we've got PK Subban from New Jersey Devils. Yeah, PK is kind of back. He's less than 16% owned. He's on the third pairing, second power play. He shoots, he hits and blocks, he puts up peripherals, and he's got 6 points in his last 6 games, not including today. Mario Ferraro from the San Jose Sharks. Under 46% owned, has 4 points in his last 5 games, hits a ton, the most on this team, and he also blocks a decent amount of shots as well. That's it for the real gems, if you want to call it that anyways. Next, there's some more borderline guys who are a bit either more streaky and or put up more peripherals, or youngsters who are up and coming. Let's start with Hampus Lindholm from the Ducks. He's first pairing, first power play, and he's less than 7% owned. He shoots a good deal and blocks as well, gets some points from time to time. At least he has the potential to do that. Then there's his pairing partner in Jamie Drysdale. First pairing, first power play. He shoots a good deal. He's less than 6.5% owned. At least keep an eye on him. I believe he actually scored tonight, or at least got an assist. So keep a good eye on that player there. That was against the Colorado Avalanche, by the way. Then we've got another Arizona Coyote in Capobianco. I think that's my favorite NHL name to say. He's on the third pairing, second power play, has 4 points in his last 5 games, and he's only played 5 games. He came back from an injury. He's under 1.2% owned right now, and every game he's played, he's looked good. So think about it. Take a good look at him. Colin Miller from the Buffalo Sabres. He's got 6 points in his last 8 games. He's under 2% owned. He's third pairing, but second power play. At least keep an eye on him at the moment. Then there's Oliver Shillington, another player you should keep an eye on. I have him right now. He's on the second pairing. He's not on special teams. He has 12 points in his last 18 games. He's gone a bit cold the past 3 games. He plays alongside Tanev, but I would look for him to be bouncing back anytime soon. Then there's Noah Hannafin, who's actually really hot right now. He's on the first pairing, second power play. He's under 6% owned and has 5 points in his last 3 games. He puts up a ton of shots. He blocks a lot as well. He goes through these long dry spells, but right now He's on fire. Next, there's Gary Yakov, who's on the second pairing. He's not on the power play, though. Under 1% owned, but's got 6 points in his last 7 games. He also puts up peripherals, shoots, hits, and blocks, and has been hot recently. And then there's Ryan Suter from the Minnesota Wild. He's under 38% owned, has 6 points in his last 8 games. He shoots and blocks a fair deal as well. Aaron Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers. He's on the first pairing right now because Nurse is injured. Second power play, and he's under 29% owned. He can be quite streaky, but he's got 10 points in 17 games so far, and he does shoot a ton and block some shots as well. Moving on, Alex Edler of the LA Kings. Now, he's second pairing, not on the power play, but he's got 2 points in his last 2 games, not including today, and he shoots, hits, and blocks as well. He does the whole spectrum. He can go a little bit dry from time to time, but he's not a bad ad if you're desperate. Ryan Graves of the New Jersey Devils, first pairing, first penalty kill. He's less than 25% owned. He's got 1 point in his last game. He is quite streaky, but he does shoot, hit, and block quite often as well. Moving on, Ryan McDonough from the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's less than 58% owned right now, has 2 points in his last 2 games though. He shoots, hits, and blocks a good deal. From the Vegas Golden Knights, there's Nick Hague. Now, Martinez is out with an injury, so he's on the first pairing and second power play as well. He's under 5% owned, has 2 points in his last 3 games. He's very up and down, but he does shoot and block too, and because he's taken over that first slot there, bet on him at least for the time being. Next, we got a few Washington Capitals, starting with Orlov, who's on the second pairing, second power play, less than 25% owned. Now, he's got 3 points in his last 2 games, including today. But he is very, gets points for 2-3 games and then takes 3-4 games off. So you want to catch him on the ride up. Next, Martin Fevre, who is playing with John Carlson on the first pairing. And he's not on the power play. He's on the first penalty kill. He's 3% owned right now. 3 points in his last 5 games. He hits a ton. I think it's most on the team, actually. And he also shoots and blocks. At the very least, keep an eye on him. Lastly, from the Capitals, and last defenseman I have here is Nick Jensen. I know. And now we're getting really desperate here. Now, he's on the second pairing, no special teams, has 3 points in his last 8 games, including today, by the way. He's less than 6% owned, but he shoots, hits, and blocks a fair deal, and he's a plus 15 right now, the best on the team. So if you're looking for a one-day pickup, I would definitely consider him. Now, before I move on to goalies, I just wanted to say ever so briefly that over 75% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribers. So that happens to be you. Welcome. Please come aboard. I'd love to have you. Hit that subscriber button. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 mark sometime this century. I'd appreciate it. Moving on. Goaltenders. Pickings are slim here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Koskinen, I know, but he's won 9 of 10 games. His save percentage has slipped. It's a 9-10 right now, but he's less than 50% owned. And he's getting enough run support on most nights, right? So he's always on and off the waiver wire. Then there's his backup, Skinner, who's won 2 of his last 3 games and has a 928 save percentage. I know it's a little early because they're still seeing what they have in him, but especially if they're playing like a bottom, 6 or 7 team in the league, like a Buffalo, in Arizona, I'd consider grabbing him on that day. Ottinger might be the gem you're looking for in goaltending right now. Holtby is injured. Hudobin has been playing great. Ottinger's won all 3 of the games he's played this season. And he's sporting a 9.55 save percentage. He's only just over 20% owned. He was good last year. If Ottinger continues to play like this, maybe they'll trade a Hudobin or a Holtby or a Bishop. He looks like he might be coming back soon as well. Moving on, Jonathan Quick. Now, the Leafs are playing LA as I speak right now. He's only won 4 of 10, but he's sporting a 939 save percentage. And Peterson, who's playing with him, doesn't play as much and is not having a good year. Then there's Martin Jones. He's won 3 of his last 5. He's got a .920 save percentage right now. Now, he lost in net today to Florida, but that was in overtime. And he was really good. It was like a 2-1 score. He's less than 4% owned right now. Again, he's a good pickup for a couple of games at the very least. Nedeljkovic for the Detroit Red Wings is got a .914 save percentage. He won his last game today against St. Louis, and he had a .946 save percentage in that game with 35 saves. He's less than 46% owned. Joseph Woll is an interesting player, as just like Skinner, in the way that he's just a kid. He's only played 2 games, but he's won them both. He was a bit shaky in his first one against Buffalo, but he played visibly better in the second one against the Islanders, albeit they had a lot of players on COVID and still do. But he's got a .915 save percentage right now, and they're in a similar situation like Dallas, where if he plays really well, and if they continue to at least give him a few more starts to see what they have, is it possible Mrazek, for instance, might become expendable? Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but we'll see. Then there's Lawrence Brossoit from the Vegas Golden Knights. He's won 3 of 4. He's won his last 2. He's got a .910 save percentage, but he's putting up W's, right? Eric Comrie from the Winnipeg Jets. Now, he's lost his last 2 games, but he's still sporting a .920 save percentage, has won 3 of 5 games, less than 2% owned. Rantanen, who's backing up Anderson, he's won 2 of 3 with a .913, less than 3%. Scott Wedgwood of the Arizona Coyotes, he's won 3 of 6 games with a .922 save percentage, less than 2% owned right now. I know, why would you ever pick up a Coyotes goaltender? But again, if they're playing like a bottom 5 team in the league, I mean, right now I'm also watching Arizona versus Edmonton, and it's 2-1 at the moment. He's been playing really well ever since he was claimed off from the Devils on waivers. So, and lastly, Dan Vladar of the Calgary Flames. If you have Markstrom especially, I'd consider also picking him up. He's won 4 of 5 right now with a .946 save percentage against good teams and not so good teams. And he's less than 7% owned at the moment. He won his last game against Boston, by the way. That's it. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider supporting me through my crowdfunding site called Buy Me a Coffee. You can find the link in the description box down below. You can also just find it on my channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, which will alert you when my next video comes out. And please remember to be kind to each other out there in this gonzo world we're living in at the moment. And I'll see you soon.